The Ramcharitmanas is a book which tells us about the glories, the pastimes of Prabhu Shri Ram, his teachings. And it's likened onto a lake and likened onto water which purifies and cleanses. It says, when you take a dip into this lake of Sri Ramcharitmanas, there's a special type of feeling, a special type of cleansing. We need the water to cleanse our outer body, but to cleanse the inner body, to cleanse the soul, we have to dip in this manas. And Tulsidass gives a very beautiful chaupai, I just called her Kama Koda Madamatam, Kama Koda Madamohana Savan, Bimal Vivek Virag Budhavan. Very profound. He says the power of this manas, this lake, or the teachings of Sri Ramcharitmanas, it has the power to destroy lust, kam. It has the power to destroy anger, krodh. It has the power to remove pride, which is mad, and remove infatuation, which is moha. And it encourages Bimal Vivek Virag Budhava. Two important words here. It gives pure wisdom, Vivek, and Vairag. Vairag is detachment. There is attachment and there is detachment. Attachment is when we embrace the world at large, the physical things, the material things. We are all attached to that. And because we are so engrossed in it, we tend to lose the true focus of the divine. When you read this, when we take a delve and a bath into this manas, it helps us to become detached. Not to be attached to the world, but to be detached from the world and attached to God. So when we detach from the world, then we attach to the divine. This katha has the power to give you that strength and that wisdom to free ourselves from the world and attach ourselves to the divine. He says, Sadar Majjan Pan Kiyete Mitahi Pap Paritap Kiyete. He says, by reverently bathing, in other words, by reverently reading, by reading with great devotion and living the principles, he says that by reverently bathing and drinking from this lake, he says all traces of sin vanish from the heart. That is the power and might of Sri Ramcharitmanas. It removes all the negativities from our hearts. He says, for those people who have not washed their hearts with this water, he says they are cowards. Why? Because they are involved so much in the Kali age that they are afraid to enter into this lake. They are so absorbed in this lake outside. There's by the dozen things of the universe that they dare not go into this. He said they are cowards. They said, those creatures wandering in pursuit of sensuous pleasures of the world, they will come to grief. And just as a deer runs in the distance, thinking, seeing a mirage, and thinking it's water, by the moment he reaches there, he realizes there is no water. It's just a mirage. A mirage is, sometimes when you're driving on the highway, you see in the distance like water, because the sun rays on the atmosphere. But when you go down there, it's not water. That's what you call a mirage. It's not there in real. So this is what, and you become disappointed. So the world is like that. We think the world is everything. It is really a mirage. Because we do not, at the point of death, nothing, we can carry nothing. All that we have worked hard for, we have sacrificed for, is of no meaning, because we take nothing. But when one is engrossed in this lake, then you have everything to take with you. Bhakti, which takes you to the divine. So I want to begin from this point. A double over, Tulsidass sings. Tulsidass is saying, he's narrating to his sadhus, and having enumerated all the virtues of this excellent water. What is this excellent water? Is the teachings. Just as water cleanses, the teaching is that water that cleanses ourselves. So he says, having enumerated all the virtues of this water to the best of his ability and bathed his mind in it, Tulsidass is saying, and Sumiri Bhavani Sankarahi Kaha Kavi Katha Subhai. Sumiri. Sumiri is to remember, to think, to meditate upon. Sumiri Bhavani Sankari. Bhavani is Mother Parvati. Sankari is Lord Shiva. So he says, I remembered, I meditated, and I remembered Mother Parvati and Shiva. And he says, and now I proceed with this charming story. With my mind focused on the divine Lord Shankara and Mother Parvati, I now begin to narrate this katha. In the next verse he says, Abarakupati pada pankaduha hiya dhari bhai prasad. He says, I lay my heart at the lotus feet of Sri Ram. You see, Tulsidass is not just going to write. He is taking the blessings of all the Devgans, of man, of beasts, of the trees, of all creation. He submitted himself to everything on earth. Now finally, I am writing of my beloved Prabhu Sri Ram. So he says, I lay my heart at the lotus feet of Sri Raghunath, my beloved Sri Ram, and thus I secure his grace. By doing that, I secure the grace of Prabhu Sri Ram. Once I have his grace, then I can put pen to paper. He says, Kaha Vanchugal Munibad Jakar Milan Subhag Sambad. He says, I now proceed to relate this charming story or history of the meeting of two great sages, And in the last lesson I told you, one of the shrines in which this entire Katha was narrated was between Yagnabalak and Bharatdwaaj. These two sages, Yagnabalak and Bharatdwaaj, are in this particular Katha now. And there is a discussion between them. And perhaps this is where it began. Tulsidass says, I am now going to narrate to you the discussion between these two great and profound sages, Yagnabalak and Bharatdwaaj.